We're live in 10. Okay. I think we are live. Okay. So good evening, everybody, the world, and welcome to here.here with Parkinson Saunders, with Tim Parkinson and James Saunders here with us tonight on Zoom. So I'm Emmanuelle Waeckerlé, and here Harry Whalley as well is here. We are all in various parts of the UK. Harry is in Edinburgh, James in Portishead, Tim in North London, myself in South London, and the great IKLECTIK team hosting and streaming us from near Waterloo Bridge in central London. So we've been streaming all our live concerts from the start, but never imagining that 3 years later, it would become the norm, and that we would be here with you from the comfort of our home. But we are very happy to have as our guests tonight, James and Tim, or Tim and James, Parkinson Saunders. So James Saunders is a composer with an interest in group behaviors and decision-making. He runs the Open Score Lab at Bath University and co-edited the great book, Word Events, Perspective on Verbal Notation. Tim Parkinson has been described as an outsider composer, reconstructing music from the ground up. He also co-organizes the great concert series, Music We'd Like to Hear, with John Lilly. So they've been working as a duo since 2003, I believe. So tonight, as the title says, there is no actual concert. They have chosen instead to embrace the challenge of social and physical distancing by, I quote, attempting to make new things in our houses, 113 miles apart, working out what to do, unquote. So in the series of short video pieces we are about to see, while resorting to their usual simple objects and gestures to make music, they are also challenging what it means to play and to play together. The way perhaps children do, playing joyfully but seriously as a way of discovering the world and its possibilities. Or perhaps also I was reminded while watching the work of Robert Filliou, who wrote in the 1970s, playing as a weapon against alienation. It's a big expression, but I think it's accurate in relation to what we're going to see. And at the same time, they have managed to make us feel as if we were there playing with them. So I hope you're going to enjoy these new works for video as much as they seem to have done making them. So it should take about 30 minutes, 32 minutes of pure pleasure. And then we will be back afterwards for a discussion. And meanwhile, you will be able to write comments and ask questions on the YouTube chat live, and we will ask them on your behalf. So unless James, Tim, or Harry, would you like to say something? No?
Nope.
Okay. So let's enjoy the video and we'll see you shortly afterwards for a discussion. Enjoy.
Thank you. Dog,
duck,
pen,
book,
gate,
cheese,
egg,
telephone,
padlock, tree,
staircase,
eel,
ball,
grass,
sandwich,
clipboard,
lion,
plug,
radiator,
horse,
tree,
seatbelt,
house, shoe,
photocopier,
scissors,
vase, lamp,
stick,
armchair,
ramp,
microwave,
car,
boat,
grass,
apple,
fish,
fence,
paper, plug,
marshmallow,
water,
book,
envelope,
ladder,
root,
battery,
potato,
hook,
cat,
drain pipe,
diagram,
drawer,
lever,
fish,
hammer,
signpost,
light bulb,
bin, flower,
corner,
cat,
pencil,
ocean,
map, saucepan,
motorway, trumpet,
trousers,
Grocery. Peg.
tape,
Ring.
carpet,
Table.
soil,
Cover.
box, glass,
Shop.
spoon,
Shoe.
plant, frame,
Fridge.
disc,
Wallet.
cardboard,
Train.
tube,
Swan.
door, can,
Statue. Bread.
start. Two,
7,
4,
slower,
1,
hold,
3, 9,
continue, faster, 8,
8,
10,
slower,
beginning,
beginning, 2,
3,
loop start,
9,
loop stop,
2, 10, 4,
continue, reverse, 6, faster,
2,
4,
3, 10,
5, slower, 5,
wait,
5,
continue,
beginning, 5,
faster,
reverse,
loop start, loop stop,
hold, continue,
continue,
10, slower,
reverse, 'slower,
reverse, 10,
beginning,
7,
'slower,
loop start, loop stop,
reverse,
'continue, faster,
1,
9, 2,
8,
End.
Are we live again? Wow. I think we are live again. What an ending. What a piece.
I saw Mike McAvoy says, know the feeling. It's a COVID brain mush, followed by and I don't know if that's a some sort of meditative or not.
Quite glorious, both joyous and full of, yes, kind of released frustration and fun. And yes, I think I said that to both of you and to Harry. When I saw the end, I thought Beavis and Butthead.
Yes, we've been sharing late 90s MTV observations in the chat beforehand. So yeah, it was great fun to make. I think I think we both really enjoyed doing it. I think the kind of terror when Tim first sent me that video after telling me what to film, I wasn't quite expecting that.
Well, it's a pleasure to work with James because he just he does whatever I ask him to do without question, and
so far,
and it's absolutely ideal. And I must say, I do the same. Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Next the question, what comes next?
For us too.
Well, after such an ending, if James does everything that you ask him to, I think that's something there that I was trying to imagine what comes after that in terms of pushing the boat.
We've made a few of the Playmobil pieces, which are Tim's. We made a whole load last year, and some other people have filmed them, I think, as well. And then this one appeared in this set. I've really enjoyed doing those.
That's true. But I mean, these the first Playmobil things I did were when I did the live stream with Angharad Davis, when we did a live stream with the Experimental Sound Studio in Chicago last April. It was a quarantine concert series, and just a little bit like this. Actually, I was resistant to appearing on the screen or performing in a way. So I wanted to get other people in to do it, but of course, we can't have other people. So the Playmobil stood in for us, and after that, I made some songs with James that we put together last sort of May and June. And the first two didn't have any Playmobils, but the third and fourth did, and they're kind of like miniature theatre pieces. So I was thinking about using them again, but it took a kind of different turning than last year.
Indeed. Maybe we should say that we're putting on YouTube all the list of all the pieces you have done, because on the list, yes, I could see that I was wondering how the collaboration work in that sense, and there it's kind of distinct pieces, kind of proposition by James and some by Tim.
We've not really done anything where we've I think it's right in saying where we filmed it together at the same time. There's always a sort of a score or set of kind of instructions of varying some a bit more after the event, which gives us instructions for filming, and often one of us will make something and then the other one will make a sort of a similar thing based on the instructions, and then we just put them together. So there's a little bit of, sometimes occasional bit of refilming because the timings are a bit sort of, one might be 40 seconds longer than the other, so we might have to reshoot one. But most things I think we do kind of first go and just accept what happens.
I think there's been a lot of retakes, though. To be honest, I mean,
In this set, there's been a few more.
the ideal, I think, is to do it in one.
Yeah, there's a few bits. The stuff with the objects at the end was I think was first take.
This
I mean,
idea
sorry, go on,
Oh,
Harry.
I just the idea with the dual screen splitting it in two. I mean, it clearly reflects your normal stage setup where there can be quite a large distance between you. You know, I mean, I'm assuming you do get on very well, but the way that you lay things out is quite sort of disparate but synchronized.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, could you have done it any other way? In this form or format, or did it have to be with that split attention?
I think I quite like the separateness. I think of making things this way. I think we've really enjoyed doing video work because it means we can just everything's within our control locally. We can do something and then we just literally just put it together. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry, content.
I was going to say it's very DIY as well. Still, I mean, we're just there's not a particular great wealth of equipment, really. You know, it's just whatever we happen to have to hand. And I'm kind of a.
I just got a camera like this, which my brother-in-law gave me, and the front's broken. You know, that's the quality of the kit we're using.
I'm happy with the split screen thing at the moment. I mean, I like the fact that the composite image is a result of two very separate things that are going on. But there are kind of accidental points of connection, really, and synchronicity. And I've also really enjoyed the fact that the same set of instructions can yield completely. Well, not completely different, but very, very different results depending on both of our personalities. And it would be the same with any two people, I'm sure.
I think what is interesting with the split screen, it's in some way it replicates the way you usually perform. Kind of separate but together on stage and facing the audience. But what I felt like, what I was really reacting to is the fact that it felt much more that you were playing together rather than performing to the noise. That's
definitely. I mean, we always sit in the same way. I don't know how the screen looks for everybody, but he's normally he's there for me at the moment. Can't do it. There we go. And we always have Parkinson Saunders. We sit that way around generally. So in the films, the videos were that way around as well. We just kind of
so in the video, there. Parkinson is on the left. And
that's
Saunders
right.
On the right.
Yeah, we just tend to do it that way.
It was interesting to see how that, showing the differences of interpretation and how I was trying to piece who was whom. And that a lot of the clues came more through the little interlude moving videos in terms of the more cityscape or the more kind of in that sense.
Yeah,
I've just checked online and on YouTube it's Parkinson Saunders.
Oh,
so
okay,
you're above and below. At this point.
Okay, that's good. I thought you meant Tim was getting all the thumbs up and I was getting all the thumbs down there. So I felt very bad for a moment there.
So University Challenge setup.
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
Then maybe, I mean, there's a lot to say. I mean, you refer to that work as a video work, and that's great because it is a video work. But that's made in the context of, it's still pretty much centered around everything to do with music and composing and improvising.
I mean, I personally, I don't know what Tim thinks about the pieces he made, perhaps a bit more video, but I don't see them as video works. They're just film performances, really. These are, I mean, although they were written for this situation, I think they function as live pieces primarily as well. So
that was going to be my question. How can you see these performed live in a way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think all the pieces.
Your
my
pieces.
pieces. Yeah,
Yeah.
With the same, with the same setup than you usually kind of
or actually, some of these pieces with more people as well. They work as duos, but the piece with the instructions towards the end, I think we've tried it out a little bit with people in Bath, which has been fun. It kind of worked okay. I think there's probably a density maximum of about 3 or 4 before it starts to get a bit full. But the other pieces with the kind of writing instructions and then doing things, that could definitely happen live. I mean, you don't perhaps see so much of what's being written unless you set cameras up, but that sense of making decisions and then carrying them out one at a time in sequence, kind of responding to what other people do, would be interesting, because the one thing it didn't do in the version we just did is we couldn't respond to each other. So we chose as we went along the particular chords or pitches that we wrote, but we may perhaps respond to each other. I mean, the piece started out as a piece exploring coincidence really between people. The way that we make choices and we end up perhaps choosing the same things. So here it's really just kind of pushing things together, whereas in a live performance it might be a bit more of an interplay between the two.
Maybe then the interplay is displaced. Here it's more between us watching and what we are watching pre-recorded, because we are constantly kind of with you there.
Yeah, and I think also looking for kind of coincidences, which are just, they are coincidences. They're not planned. They're not sort of arranged in any way. And so occasionally things happen. And that little card sequence that we put at the beginning was just something. It was a game of Snap, which makes that link as well.
So I think through the medium of video, whether they are film performances or as video, there's an added element that I got really interested about, because we always have that separation between what we see and what we hear. And here suddenly, when often in concert, I close my eyes, once you know the setup. And here, certain pieces you could do that, others you couldn't, because it was so relying. And I find that very interesting, that the way, through the medium of video, you manage to explore the full range of performing for video or performing through video, or that separation, or that kind of seamless kind of link between seeing and hearing. And I was wondering, how could that be replicated if you do that live? Or not, maybe.
I think, again, I guess this is because Tim, I think your pieces are essentially made for video, aren't they?
I think it would be a challenge to do them live.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not sure it would be the correct medium for them. I think they live on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I have done, with the songs that I did last year, for example, because they do exist as a set of instructions, and I sent them to various friends so to see if they could, make their own versions as well. So and I've had a few, alternative versions filmed in the same way, but. Because the structure is very variable, as you can see. Actually, when we're making it, we're kind of rearranging. These are the old songs, rearranging letters and words. So, so they kind of, in a way, the live performance is asking other people maybe to make their video realizations. In a way, it's a way that I've kind of thought about keeping the not a live element, but a certain kind of freshness in the reproducibility of them, because the version that James and I do is only one, the same with what you've seen now. It's only one possible version of multitude of different versions that each of the videos could be. It's like a photograph in a way. It has to be something, and it's ended up being this.
I think we have a question from YouTube from Mike, who asked, what were the discussions that took place between the composers to decide about structure they would follow, i.e. the structure that defined the order of the various sequences?
Well, we spent quite a lot of time going backwards and forwards and changing our minds. We decided to be very democratic and have 15 minutes each. which we would split up in a number of ways between however many pieces we each wanted to make. So that was our starting point, whilst also having some variety about the durations of each of the segments. And then we just started making things and putting it together and trying it out, really. And it was very sort of pieced together gradually as things. And there was things that we kind of didn't show in the end because they didn't really fit. But then there's a sort of pattern, isn't there, of 3 or 4 pieces that repeats twice, and then it cuts to something very different at the end with the guitar and piano duo, which I think is the first time we've ever done anything playing instruments that we allegedly do play. In my case, Tim's a much better pianist than me, and then Tim's kind of terrifying play people at the end. So there's a sort of repeating structure, and then kind of a cut to something very different, and that just sort of emerged really. Again, we just sort of messed around with the order of things.
Well, that's where the composers come.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
sense, because there's a definite kind of structure.
Definitely.
In a sense, in there. I was curious because in terms of the instructions of the composing, in a lot of the pieces, whether it's the drawing or the writing of the list or even the playing on the keyboard, it seems like action comes first and then notation. So in terms of, and I was wondering, yes, why or what is the point of the notation there and what becomes of it?
Sorry, say it again.
Because you seem to the action comes first, whether it's kind of making a sound.
No, it's the other way around. So you write the thing and then play the sound. So it's notating and then performing the thing. So
it's strange. I would have to watch it again because 3 times I saw the opposite. I saw the action first and the notation being so I could hear the voice and then the words were written.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
The sound was happening and then so I was
no, it's very the idea of the piece is that you commit to something and you notate it and then you perform it as well. So and in the course of doing that you're then thinking about what the next thing's going to be. So it's it's individual sequential decision making really.
Just thinking about that distance in time between decision and action, because very often when we're playing with other people, there's the feeling of instantaneous decision making, but it's not really, but it feels like that. So when you separated it just with those extra seconds, did it feel like a different type of improvisation or composition? Was that distance in decision making something that teased it apart in one direction or another for you?
I don't really know at the moment because we've not tried it together. But I think for me, I certainly in the bit where notating the kind of keyboard melody, you start to sort of think, okay, I've had that note a few times, and just sort of just picking things. I've done that a few times. I've used that interval pattern a few times. I'll do something different. So there's always this sort of repetition and kind of finding novel things to do, or perhaps jumping to something very different. If you watch the video, Tim's goes up and down a couple of times very clearly, and then I think he does lots of repeated notes at one point. So it's I'm just very curious about how people make decisions and on what basis. So. And it's essentially a randomizing technique, perhaps, but it's very much through what people, how people prioritize certain patterns, certain sounds, certain actions.
Well, in fact, we're sort of notoriously bad at randomizing, aren't we?
Exactly.
So the things that almost the more random we try to be, the more obviously. We don't repeat the 6th time in a row when we might have otherwise done, and so on.
Yes, exactly.
So it has that kind of quasi-random instability. Yeah.
We've
lost Tim.
Yeah.
Lost Tim. It's just Saunders now.
Just when I was about to ask quite a personal question of his back.
I think Tim's back now.
Maybe, to talk
I've sacked him again.
Tim, are you there? Yes. So maybe to talk about your collaboration. You've been collaborating since 2003. That's a long time in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you remember, what kind of did you see in each other that made you want to collaborate first? I mean, collaboration, such, temporal collaboration between people or around curating or organizing are quite common, but kind of duo, performing, composing duos are quite rare for such
perhaps
a long period of time. So what did you see in each other?
I don't know. I don't know whether Tim's there.
Tim?
I don't know.
You might have different answers.
Okay, well, while Tim's probably reconnecting,
It'll be like that Mr. and Mrs. game.
It will be.
Yes.
Oh, you're back. You're right. You can answer.
Tim, did you hear the question? Tim?
My connection is really freaked out.
Yes, we lost you. I was just asking a question just when you disappeared in terms of your collaboration, that which is ongoing since 2003, which is quite rare as kind of composers, performers kind of working together in the way you do. So it's a personal question. What did you see in each other in 2003 that made you want to kind of collaborate with each other and that sustained you until now?
Compliance,
respecting authority,
affability.
Yeah.
James is very unflappable under pressure. One of the very first pieces that we ever tried out together was on two pianos, where we played random notes until we hit the same note, at which point the piece was over. And so I don't know why I bring that up, but that was a sense, that we both, I think, found very enjoyable.
Definitely. And that, so we knew each other beforehand, but we went to Austria in 2001 for the first course there with Bryn Harrison, and we as part of that there was a weird evening, as most things seem to be at Austria, in a sort of folk club, wasn't it, where we did various sort of improvised things. We did some Christian Wolff exercises, I think, some Fred Frith pieces, and then there was like a klezmer band in between us, and then we went back on again as a group, and we sort of kind of performed a bit as a duo as part of that, and then kind of quite enjoyed that, and then a couple of years later we started doing some concerts, really. But I think also because we don't do many concerts, I think that's really important. So I mean, we made these videos just now. We made some more about the same time last year. We probably perform once or twice a year on average, I'd have thought, and that's good because it means we kind of have time to prepare things, and we do the things we want to do, really, rather than feeling like we've got to keep doing stuff. When we're ready to do something, we'll do something, and that's, I think, really important for me, at least. And it's just great fun.
I mean, I still remember. Yeah, I mean, it is fun. I still remember the original kind of proposal to each other, which was that it would be great to do a concert where there are no instruments at all, and there was no music in a way, and that we were sitting at a table like a couple of newsreaders. And I still kind of wish sometimes that when you put the news on, they would do something like this instead of reading the news.
Yeah. They do stand up now, at least, don't they? Which we don't do.
I was saying to Harry when we discussed, what our impressions and your work. I was thinking there's something from the two things you have in common. It's definitely kind of British humor, this kind of deadpan, kind of funny but quite controlled at the same time. Although the last piece tonight, kind of you blew that away in a way, and that's great. But there's also something almost quite Beckett in a sense, the kind of the theatrical element, but which is quite kind of sparse. And I was saying this is almost like waiting for Godot, but there's no Godot. It's just waiting. It's what happens when you wait for no particular reason. How do you kind of occupy that time?
I would say that certainly occurred to me watching it through again now, just the sense that there's a lot of time being spent. It's a kind of it's a feeling of spending time together while we're not performing together in a way. You know, James's pieces have this sort of procedural qualities. It's very much like domestic things like writing lists or gathering things and getting things ready. And mine they're kind of like doodles, sort of thinking about things in a kind of visual, abstract way whilst waiting. So.
I think that's what I was trying to say by the playing like children who don't know they are waiting, they're just playing, or like adults playing as a kind of, trying to fight that kind of alienation of the routine of the everyday, but serious and playfulness.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think, I've had these sort of conversations with people recently in other contexts, but I don't think there's an intention to do things that are kind of funny as such. I think there's a focus, there's a concentration on a particular activity, which has an integrity to it and a real sort of clear focus. And that produces lots of different reactions. And I think there's not an intention to do kind of silly things as such.
For me, it's a sense of discovery always has that risk of something revelatory, and revelatory things always make me laugh, and it's not necessarily that it's funny, it's just that it's a kind of dawning moment of a sort of clarity or something. So so I don't mind laughter. I mean, laughter is a reaction, so it's nice to.
It's great. I don't mind it.
It's one of the things that's kind of trained out of concert goers in usual settings, isn't it? Sort of almost having to sit on your hands and so on. I mean, even in a jazz setting, it's formalised, isn't it? Clapping after the solo and so on. The interjections become quite formalised.
Yeah, I'm very happy if people find it funny, which to a sense it is, I suppose, in places, but it's not a starting point, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's about things that come out of it. I think I've also found, I don't know what you think about this, Tim, actually, but I think the sort of work we're making, particularly for these video things, for me, although there's a kind of connection with other things I do, it feels like it's more of a sort of an us piece in a way. There's things that probably I'm doing now that I probably wouldn't have done 10 years ago if it wasn't for working in this duo. I think it's sort of, I think some of what I've done has changed to adapt to this a little bit as well. Partly because we can do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine having made this work with anybody else. I mean, at the moment, it's just because obviously it is what it is, and it's come about through working with you right now. So, now I've lost my train of thought now. But
where you answered my last question was going to be, what does the collaboration bring back to your own work, individual work? And
it's a space to try things out, definitely, and I'm always looking for those sorts of things. A couple of the things we did, we have with our MA students in Bath, we do every kind of 3 or 4 weeks a creative task where we all do something in response to a particular brief that we set, and we all have a go at it. And I think both the pieces of mine tonight came out of that, but also they came out of then the development of just trying things out with Tim and say, well, let's do it like this and see what happens. And it's a real, for me, it's a real sort of workshop for developing ideas. I think that's the thing that I find really useful.
And one of the things I remember when we finished making the videos, when James sent it to me, and he said, I don't know what it is, but it's enjoy watching it. And I feel the same. I don't know what it is either. It's and describing this to people as well, saying, come and watch this live stream. We're going to show a video, and what is it? Well, I don't know. I haven't. It's not. I mean, what I have said is that we don't play instruments together, but actually we do. Obviously, now that's a lie. You're playing the guitar for the first time in our duo relationship, which is great.
Yes,
I'm happy to see the guitar coming out.
Other people may not be.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what that not knowing and that trying that keeps it kind of alive and fresh.
Definitely.
And so I think I'm looking at the time, we're coming to the end. There's one question by Michael, a serious question. Is the idea of limiting the note choice range, that there is more possibility, melodic resonance? I noticed that the chords played were all notes within the C minor natural scale.
Yeah, for that. So for that piece, there's various kind of actions that you can do. So there's a chord one, a melody one, a kind of noise making object one, words, tapping, and the object moving one at the beginning. They're all part of the same piece. And within each of those activities, you can specify things a bit. So I just made a choice that we'd use kind of 3 flats, and any kind of chord that could be notated in kind of chord notation using any notes from that scale, as you say, were possible. So there's a limit there, but it could be chromatic, it could be pentatonic, it could be whatever really, as long as it's.
I really enjoyed that dodging the C-centricness there, James. I thought that was really lovely way.
Okay, that's fine.
Not C natural minor, but the three flats.
Yes, it was. I mean, that's what it was. that was the decision. You can play any notes as long as they're in. They've got 3 flats.
That's really funny.
I have a question for Alex, from Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Oh, from
How are
the
you?
side of the world. Hello, Alex. This question, are you planning to do more video-based work for the time being, or possibly continue this practice while playing in person?
Possibly, yeah, I think so. I mean, in a sense, we live, as we said at the beginning, 113 miles apart, and it seems crazy we've not done this before. So it's something we've enjoyed, and it's kind of good timing at the moment. But I think it could develop into something we do a bit more. Don't know? Do you think?
See, I mean, there's no plans. I mean, we didn't really know what this was going to be. This is the result of just exploration and work. So it's responding to circumstances. So yeah, I mean, I don't feel that we've, there's plenty more to do on video, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it would be really, I mean, it is really nice to, as we all, I'm sure, are feeling to be in the same room with somebody at the moment.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Play music together. So I'm looking forward to that whenever that, happens again.
Yeah.
I do think you're onto something great in this. I wouldn't call them video or performance for film either. I think it's this medium that really blows away all the boundaries between video and music, between sound vision, between all these things, and work as they are. And I think there's a way they could work live, but also as kind of projected pieces.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really, really interesting. But the creative potential of limitations, you really kind of, you demonstrated again.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have, what's next for both your duo or individually? Anything you want to kind of let us know what's happening with the music we would like to hear, with your individual kind of composing and performing practice?
Well, we're hoping to do music we'd like to hear concerts in the summer. So plans are still being formed, but
that would be in July then?
Yeah, some in July and hopefully some in September. So I don't want to. I never really want to jinx it until it's finally all down and set in stone. But that's my absolute wish that those could happen, and I'm 98% sure that they will. I hope.
We hope so.
Absolutely.
Yes. And you, James?
Just making a few small pieces. I've been doing some things for kind of home performance a little bit more recently, which is why it's been lovely to do this project with Tim actually as well. And then in November, doing a piece with Camera Ensemble Music Berlin, and their sort of Coma group, and I think some Coma groups from Netherlands and from the UK, which is partly the idea is that the piece is in a space, physical space with physical audience, but the players are all on a Zoom call of some sort, though we probably won't use Zoom. So the kind of network of communication is both virtual through the screens and also by looking at people in the room as well. So there's like two parallel organisation structures. But some of it might end up being online with people joining remotely. So we start rehearsing in a couple of weeks. So we'll find out more then. But that's next. That's coming up.
Great. I think we've lost Harry.
Yeah, I think Harry's disappeared.
So maybe it's time to say thank you. I want to say thank you to both of you for really living up to the challenge so beautifully. So
thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank IKLECTIK as well, Isa and Edouard, with whom we've been kind of working from the beginning for 3 years, and who are going from strength to strength in terms of, yes, providing a great venue, but also fantastic streaming and recording quality. And then, yes, we have to thank also UCA, the university that both Harry and I work at, who are kind of supporting us with this project. This is the last concert of this year. We are hoping next year to be able to be in person with, yes, back at IKLECTIK with kind of new guest composers and performers. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great fun.
Yes, all from our own, kind of from all over the UK. And wish you all a good evening.
Fantastic.
Right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for watching.